We want to build the #1 international baseball league.
Oh, what a catch! What a catch, baby!
Like I said, I feel blessed.
The pitcher grabbed by Schlitter goes for the force of the plate.
Ground ball, double play, game over. Wow!
This is a money ball, gentlemen, and this.
Money ball!
Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of the official Baseball United podcast. I'm your host, Liam Skiffington, and if you've paid attention to the game in any capacity over the last 5 to 10 years, then you'll know that from a global standpoint, it's never been in a better position. With the rise of international superstars, international tournaments, technological advancements in the game, and rule changes, they've all come together to help build the globality of baseball. But if I'm being totally honest, no one, no league, nothing has had a bigger impact on the sport in the last decade, maybe even the last 2-3 decades, than the Baseball United League, the first ever professional baseball league based out of the Middle East. So you might be wondering who started this league? How did all these partnerships come together? Well, luckily today we have the man with the plan, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Baseball United, Mr. Kash Shaikh himself. Kash, how you doing?
Liam, what's going on, man? I'm pumped, man. The first ever Baseball United podcast. So excited to have a platform like this to connect with our fans across the world, tell the stories, showcase the people, the legends, the players, all the narrative, all the behind the scenes of what it takes to build a professional baseball league from scratch on the opposite side of the world. As you and I have talked about so many times, the difficulty level to do something like this, the amount of people it takes, the amount of focus and commitment. So it's really awesome to be able to have a platform to share some of that, to have this therapy session, and I appreciate you, bro, for everything that you do. And I'm glad you're going to be the one driving this whole journey on the new Baseball United podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad and excited as well. Lots and lots to come. So, Kash, you're a couple years into Baseball United. You're a few months out from the next showcase. How are things going right now?
They're going, man. They're building fast. It's funny. Every time I get on Instagram, people are messaging me, DMing me, what's the update? When's the next games? And I love it because people are excited. And, I think we had a great proof of concept last November in Dubai. We were broadcast in 127 countries, reaching 200 million households. We had 2 great all-star teams put on a great show for the first time in the history of the region. We had Pablo Sandoval hit a Moneyball home run. We made history with the first 6-run homer in baseball history. Pablo's phone, by the way, has been blowing up off the hook, he told me after that, for the whole 3-month period after. And I saw him in Miami, a month ago, in the Caribbean series, and he told me, dude, the Baseball United showcase, my Moneyball home run has been the biggest blessing. MLB teams are calling me. It doesn't hurt that he's in the best shape of his life too, if you look at Pablo. And he got an invite, as to San Francisco, to the Giants spring training camp, which was pretty cool, because I see that as a success story, because our league, one of the core pillars is to be able to give players an opportunity to extend and expand and evolve their careers, and give more players an opportunity to play the game that they love. And, we were able to do all that last year. Now, as we just announced some really, really big news I know we're going to get into, but we've been fortifying our partnerships, building out our team, and really deciding on the key cities and places that we're going to be growing this league over the next many, many years.
So let's dive into this breaking news. So you guys recently partnered with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, right?
That's right. Big deal, a really big deal. Honestly, maybe the biggest announcement and news we've ever been blessed to share with Baseball United, because we signed a deal in perpetuity with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi Baseball and Softball Federation to be able to play our Baseball United games, our leagues, our season, our tournament across the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as well as announce 3 new expansion franchises to our league that are going to represent 3 of the 4 biggest cities in Saudi Arabia: Riyadh, the capital city; Jeddah, the city right on the coast of the Red Sea on the west coast of Saudi Arabia; and Dammam, which is the oil capital of the world. Saudi Aramco is based out there in Dammam. Actually, a great baseball community out there. So those are going to be 3 new baseball franchises that are going to be a part of our season, and some of them will be part of our showcase events and tournament events that are coming up. But you've seen, Liam, everybody's seen what Saudi Arabia has been doing in the world of sport over the last few years. I mean, what they've done to disrupt, in some ways, innovate in all ways, and just inspire across the board has been really incredible. From golf to F1 to boxing, MMA to tennis. They just invested a ton of money into the ATP tour. I mean, the government has made it a focus of their 2030 vision. And the 2030 vision is a really innovative plan that's been put together by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to really help drive quality of life, diversity of their economy, to drive tourism and tourists into the country, into the kingdom, just create a more vibrant nation. And they have been doing such a great job on the sports and entertainment front of bringing some of the best sporting events, the biggest names. They signed Ronaldo to Al Nasser, the football, the soccer team out of Riyadh. Neymar, they've got some of the biggest names in football / soccer. My buddy Francis Ngannou, former heavyweight champion of the world in UFC, fought Tyson Fury there, just fought Anthony Joshua there. So many big things happening. Obviously, everybody knows Live Golf. And a lot of people don't understand a lot of the depth behind it, because you see all these things and it's a part of the world you're not sure about. You hear a lot of conversation and controversies on social media. But the reality is, as somebody that's been boots on the ground in Riyadh and that's been seeing what they've been building, and someone myself who knows the Middle East really well, what they're doing is really laying a positive infrastructure for the growth of the country, for the growth of sport. And, they're diversifying their business model and opening up their borders, because Saudi Arabia has changed more in the last 3 years than the previous 300. Everything from women's rights to the economy to sport, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for everybody, and is creating so many more opportunities for so many people, and we're just so blessed to be a part of it. I can't wait till we start announcing our franchises, and we're going to be announcing our Riyadh franchise really soon, and that's when things are going to go to the next level.
So, first of all, Kash, congratulations on the partnership. Truly groundbreaking. What I'm curious to know is, how can you walk us through how this partnership happened? Like, what's the first step?
Well, we've had a great relationship with the Saudi Baseball and Softball Federation for a couple years. A lot of people don't know that the Baseball Federation in Saudi is actually the youngest baseball federation in the world. It was formed in 2019. But they have such a great foundational strategy and plan to start galvanizing young people within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to start learning about baseball, playing the game of baseball. There's 30 million people in Saudi Arabia, and according to our research, about 1.5 million of them are avid baseball fans. So we already have a strong foundation. There's a lot of young people, young by saying, college age folks, young professionals that are in Saudi Arabia that went to school in the United States or went to school in the western part of the world. When you walk around Riyadh, just like when you walk around Dubai, you see a lot of Yankees hats, for better or for worse. Unfortunately, you see a lot of Yankees hats. You see some of your Red Sox hats. You see Dodgers hats. People know about the game. They know about the culture of baseball, what it means. They've seen it in movies, but they never had the opportunity to learn the game. And the Saudi Baseball Federation, since 2019, has been trying to teach people the game. What we're able to do now is work with them, partner with them, bring expert coaches, bring our, professional curriculum, bring our legends, our 18 MLB legend co-owners and investors and growing, bring infrastructure, bring a professional franchise in Riyadh, in Jeddah, in Dammam that are going to inspire young people to want to play the game, because you need that bottom up, top down approach, And so all those elements made it perfect for a partnership. Obviously, we proved a lot with our 2-game showcase in Dubai. So it became a little bit easier then to go into another country and say, here, hey, look, here's what we've done. Now here's what we want to do, and we'd love to build with you. But everyone at the Saudi Baseball Softball Federation, from the CEO Abdul Rahman to Chairman Naif, the Vice Chairman Reem, they've been so incredible to work with. They're so excited to bring baseball to Saudi Arabia. And, one of the most important things with any partnership is it's got to be a pull. There's got to be people that want you there. And for us from the second we stepped foot in Riyadh, that's what I felt. That's what we felt. And we were able to get this deal done really, really fast. I mean, it took us a couple of years to get some of our international other nation deals done. But to be honest, right after the showcase in January, I was headed to Riyadh. And then, by the end of February, we pretty much had the deal done, which is exciting,
So how, Kash, teaming up with the Saudi Baseball Softball Federation is obviously huge. How will that partnership help you guys navigate the regulatory and logistical mazes within Saudi Arabia? I have to assume that there's some similar to what you guys experienced with Dubai, right?
Yeah, I mean, somebody was asking me actually, Liam, yesterday, like, how important are government partnerships? Like, are they required? Are they necessary? Because, anytime you work with the government, God love everybody in the government, but it slows things down. The pace is a little bit slower than what we like to do in the entrepreneur world. Definitely like what I like to do, because I like to move fast. But the reality is, in the Middle East, you do need a government partnership. You do need strong advocacy at the government level. If you and I were going to create a new sports league here in the US, we wouldn't need that. But over there you do, because of just how the culture is and even the economies, how everything is structured. So when you have something like that, a government institution backing you, that's also connected to the Olympic Committee in the country, the national team in the country, it gives you access to schools to help grow the game. It gives you access to potential funding and resources. It gives you priority, invitations to fields and venues that we will need to transform into baseball diamonds. So it gives you a lot of, connections and networks and alleyways to build a game.
When you first pitched this idea of bringing some franchises to Saudi Arabia, what was the reaction like on both sides, like internally within Baseball United? And then, I mean, I think I know about the Saudi Baseball Federation. Sounds like they were on board from day one. But
what was cool is, the first meeting, again, we got it done quick and there was a pull, but obviously the first meeting, there's some skepticism. I was presenting and they're like, we're not sure if this could work. How could it work? It's a lot of work. And I said, let me just show you something. And I stopped the meeting and I pulled out my laptop and I put up a visual of the Riyadh franchise, which we know the name, we know the brand, we know the colors. We haven't announced it yet. We're going to announce it soon. We're going to announce it in Riyadh. But I put it up there and I just let it sit and marinate for a bit. And the whole room was like, all right, we get it now. We want that. And, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because that was the powerful, catalyst to help them understand, like, wait a minute, we're going to have our own professional baseball team with professional baseball players, some of the best in the world. As you know, when we had our draft, 70% of the guys that were drafted in BU were formerly drafted by big league teams. We've got even more people, over 1,800 great players in our database for Baseball United. We're going to bring some of the best players in the world there. And they're going to have their own, hat and their own logo and their own jerseys. And they're going to have something that kids can look up to and be a part of. They were really excited. And I think that's what's That's what's the big opportunity here, because, we have to get young people involved in the game. We got to help the national team of Saudi Arabia compete. Our goal is to help them start winning some regional tournaments, the West Asia Cup, the Asian Championships, or even participating in them because they've never participated. So we got to get people, training and practicing so they can play at that level. We've been working with 7 national teams from the region: Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Nepal, Palestine. We've been working with them for 2 years. When we started working with them, only one of them was in the top 70 of the WBSC rankings. As you know, there's 141 countries that are part of the WBSC. Today, all 7 of them are in the top 70. Pakistan is number 38. So, we already seen what happens when we put our expert level curriculums, we put our coaches, we send Eddie Diaz, Carlos Mirabal, Barry Larkin, Mariano Rivera, Albert Pujols, all these guys inputting into the training, and not just the on-field, but the mental training, the workout regimens, nutrition, all that, to help people learn the game. And it's already shown that we can elevate the role, the national teams. And why is that important? Because, as we all know, like, when your country can perform on an international stage like the Olympics or the World Baseball Classic, then it really galvanizes the fan base. We saw it in the WBSC or WBC last year when Mexico made that run, in World Baseball Classic. Baseball is already big in Mexico, but that run with my boy Jose Urquidy on the team, and then the boys in Mexico, that really got the whole country of Mexico behind them. Great Britain having a team, really made an impact in the UK. When the Czech Republic had a team, that really got the fan base excited. So for us, if we can help India and Saudi Arabia and Pakistan and these countries in the region get to a World Baseball Classic, man, it will step change the growth of baseball in the region. In the Olympics in 2028, baseball is going to be there. Cricket is not going to be there. In these cricket countries, there's not going to be cricket in the Olympics in 2028. Can you imagine if somehow we got India or Pakistan or Saudi Arabia in the Olympics playing baseball? Every kid is going to pick up a bat, and that's what we want. That's what we want. So many cool things that I'm excited about with the Saudi partnership. I can't wait till we announce our Riyadh franchise. I can't wait till we play some games in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's going to be big.
So a huge thing, Cash, of getting these kids to pick up a bat is certainly going to be the on-field product. I know you guys had your draft last year for the first 4 franchises. Is there the same thing kind of in place for these 3?
Yep. We're going to have a draft. We're going to call it our expansion draft. And we're going to have, obviously, fill out the rosters of our Saudi franchises. We're still figuring out if we're going to draft for all 3 or if we're going to do just for a couple of them as we start. Because, as you know, we're still a ways away from our season and at the end of 2025. So we'll decide which one of the franchises, which 2 of the franchises are a part of that expansion draft. And then, as you know, the other news that we just put out is the evolution of our Dubai-based and Abu Dhabi-based franchises. So now the Wolves are going to be called the Arabia Wolves, and our Falcons are the Mideast Falcons. And so as a part of that, there'll be some movement of players. I got some players already calling me saying, yo, can you trade me to Riyadh? Or, things like that. So I'm not going to name names, but people are excited. And, all that's fun for the fans, obviously fun for us. So we'll be announcing all that soon.
What can you tell me about the reasoning behind the transformation of those 2 franchises?
What's been cool is we've had such a great turnout of fans. There's such an awesome foundation of fans in Dubai, where we've been building this for 2 years, where our office is, and of course down the road, an hour and a half down the road in Abu Dhabi as well. But we've also found that there's so many other fans for baseball in what's called the GCC, which is really the Arabian Peninsula. You have millions of fans. In the GCC, you have Oman, you have Qatar, you have Kuwait, you have Bahrain. So you have all these other countries that want a piece of what we're building. And, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have 15 franchises in the early days. Hopefully one day we will. That'd be awesome. But our plan in 2025, when we start, is to have 8 franchises. So one way that we believe we can help engage and connect with everyone in the region is, in addition to having 3 franchises in Saudi Arabia, which makes sense because that's the biggest country in the region, 30 million people, right? All the other countries can be connected as well to the Arabia franchise and the Mideast franchise. Now, the Arabia Wolves will still be based in Dubai, so our Dubai fans can have a local team that they really, connect with, and they'll be able to see those players playing and training in their city. Our Mideast Falcons will still be based in Abu Dhabi, so those fans can really grow that love affair with that team. But because we're expanding the name a bit, it also now gets the fans in Bahrain, Kuwait, and other places a chance to connect, and that's really special. There's examples for that as well, as in MLB, like the Texas Rangers are really in Dallas, right? But with their branding and the way that they've evolved, it's kind of a state team to a lot of people. Not to me, because I'm from Houston, so it's the enemy for me. But the California Angels back in the day, a lot of people didn't realize where they actually were based. That's an LA Anaheim team that was the California Angels. So you have it in the NBA. You got the Golden State Warriors, but they're based in San Francisco. So we wanted to be able to expand the footprint of our fan base. And we'll see what happens after that. We've announced our first 4 franchises. We'll announce 3 more with Saudi that will come from Riyadh, Jeddah, and Dammam. There's one more spot for our initial season that we'll announce. I'm sure, based on what I've learned in the last couple of years, all these announcements with Saudi and the franchises, the Arabia Wolves, Mideast Falcons, we're going to get some phone calls from some government partners, from some private entrepreneurs, asking us to bring a franchise somewhere. And we're open and can't wait to field those phone calls, because, again, we want to go where people want baseball. And whether that's another city in India, a city in, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, somewhere else in the GCC, we'll decide on that last one. But I'm really, really happy, man, that we have extended and expanded our 2 kind of cornerstone initial Mideast franchises to represent the region.
So whenever you're building a new team, new franchise, integrating into the culture is obviously crucial. And you guys did a great job last year with the 4 franchises. What are you guys doing to integrate yourselves within the culture of Saudi Arabia? Is it significantly different than the game plan you guys had in Dubai?
I think the strategy and the pillars of community engagement, grassroots engagement, connecting with fans, they're all the same. But dude, we have so much freaking work to do. We have a shitload of work to do to get on the ground in Saudi. And we're on step 1 of a 10,000 step journey. And it's going to take a lot. Saudi Arabia is very different than the UAE. The UAE has 10 million people. About 85% of those people, 90% of those people are expats. So they're non-locals. So you only got 10 to 15% of the whole population that are local Emiratis, right? Saudi Arabia is the complete opposite. About 80% of Saudi Arabia are local folks from Saudi Arabia. They're Saudi Arabian nationals, and that's different, because when you in the UAE, when you have such a big expat population of Americans and British folks and Aussies and Kiwis and Filipinos and all that stuff, it's different. And we saw that, right? You were there at our showcase. When you look at the stands, I mean, you had 30 different countries, you had flags from everywhere. Saudi's going to be different. There are some expats, there are some Americans, there are some, Filipinos, there are some people, people from England, things like that. But we will have to really win over the locals. And that's going to be a big challenge. and it's something I'm excited about, to connect with the local populations in these cities. We're going to have to be boots on the ground. We're going to have to be, working with the schools. We're going to have great partnerships. So, everybody asks me, that's the other part that I laugh about, in a positive way, when I get a lot of these questions on Instagram or in my DMs about, dude, what's it taking so long? I mean, guys, we're trying to build a professional sports league from scratch on the opposite side of the world. To date, now I hope this changes, Liam, but nobody's handed us a 50 million, 100 million, billion-dollar check like people think. We haven't got that live golf money yet. We've been doing this, I put in the first, significant check into the company, and then we got 18 MLB legends who put in their own hard-earned money, and we're building this the long way and the hard way, like a true startup. So this stuff takes time, but we've known that from day one. And we all made a commitment to put in the work and put in the time necessary to try to build this. And there's no guarantee if it's going to work or not. Honestly, I believe it will, but there's no guarantee. But we always say we can't control the outcome, but we can control our attitude, our energy, our effort, our work ethic, and the strategy that we're putting into it. And we feel great about all those things.
So, Kash, earlier in the show, you mentioned Vision 2030. So it's a transformative agenda for Saudi Arabia. How does Baseball United fit into this vision? What were the conversations surrounding Baseball United specifically as it relates to Vision 2030?
Vibrant society. It's one of the pillars of vibrant society. And part of that is sport. Because as you know, sports is one of the few things in life that can bring people together in a way that's more powerful than most of what we experience. There's so much passion behind it, and there's so much commercial opportunity, for people within it. So many jobs that can be creative, so many opportunities for kids and young people. So sport is a huge part of Vision 2030. And, that's what a lot of people don't understand. Anytime you hear the term sport washing or whatever, I don't believe in that term. I think it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, okay, you didn't agree with the nation's human rights agenda in the past. Now they're trying to do things differently. They're opening up, they're evolving, they're doing something positive. We should applaud that. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's like, I did a lot of dumb shit when I was in high school. I'm sure there's people who still hold it against me now, but, even though I've done a lot of positive things since then, but hopefully, you're high-fiving people that are trying to do something positive. And I think, and also people don't realize there's a whole international strategy that the country has to bring sport into the nation so that their citizens can enjoy it in a way they never had before. Saudi Arabia was one of the most closed nations on earth, even 10 years ago. So, kids who grew up there could never watch boxing. They couldn't watch, tennis and golf the way they're now. They definitely didn't watch baseball, and they couldn't experience it. And that's an amazing thing that we're doing and that they're doing for the next generation, the current generation of citizens in Saudi Arabia, to be able to experience sport and the joys of sport in a way that they haven't had a chance to before.
So as you've alluded to earlier in the show, grassroots is really where all of this begins. What's the game plan? I know we talked about going to schools and stuff like that. What's a little deeper dive into the game plan for nurturing local talent like that out there?
Well, the big thing is we're going to work with the Saudi Baseball Federation at first on developing their national team, as I mentioned. And we want to recruit folks locally in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as well as find people around the world that have Saudi Arabian ancestry, whether a mom or dad that was born in Saudi and now they're living in the US or the UK or Australia or wherever, to potentially be on that national team. We've seen that happen with other national teams, whether it's Great Britain, which has, a lot of people that are from, basically the United States playing for them because they had a mom or dad that was from the UK, You've seen it in Pakistan, where you've got some of their best pitchers actually were born and raised in the States, but they have a parent with Pakistani descent. Excuse me. My mom was born in Pakistan. My dad was born in India. Um, Now I'm pissed off that if I knew they had a baseball, team in Pakistan back in the day, bro, I could have played for the Pakistani national team. I mean, we know I couldn't have cut it anywhere past the high school level and anything else, but I could have played 20 years ago for the national team, which pissed me off. I talked to the Pakistani national team and be like, dude, my mom was born in Pakistan. Can I play right field even now at age 44? So we're gonna help them grow their national team as a start. And then the big, ignition button for us on the grassroots program is going to be when we announce the Riyadh franchise, which we're planning to do within the next couple months, sometime here before the official season of summer starts. We'll announce the Riyadh franchise. And I got to watch myself because I keep almost saying what the name is, but I can't. I gotta, like if I did, cut it out, Liam, edit it out because, I almost want to say it, but I can't wait because it's one of my favorites.
So stadiums, fields, fans in the stands. What's the plan, if any, right now, for where games will be played in Saudi?
We got to build the stadiums from scratch. It's going to be insane. I'm sending a SWAT team. I'm calling our SWAT team out in the next 2 weeks to Riyadh to canvass the city. Obviously, they have soccer/football stadiums. They have universities that play sports that we're looking to field. One of the challenges is they have a big cricket stadium, King Fahd Stadium in Riyadh, but unfortunately for us, fortunately for Saudi Arabia, it's under a full renovation because, as you know, Saudi Arabia is going to get the World Cup. Saudi Arabia has a ton of international events that are coming. So they're actually expanding it, enhancing it, evolving it, improving that stadium. So it's closed. Otherwise, it would be pretty cool to just basically take our footprint, our model that we did in Dubai, our national stadium, and take it there. But we can't because it's under construction, basically. So we're going to have to field the dreams this one, dude. We're going to have to, Iowa, cornfield, build this from the ground up. Except it's going to be a desert with some, palm trees and a couple. I haven't seen any cacti actually in Saudi Arabia. So it's, I don't think, actually, I was telling my wife, I mean, Arizona, you see the cacti, but you don't see it really in UAE and Saudi. Maybe they're out there. I haven't seen it. But think desert and palm trees coming up out of the ground. We got to build the whole stand, fan stands and seating area, the premium areas. Obviously, you got to build a field. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot to do, and that's one piece of it, but it's a big piece. So we got to find the right venue, the right location for the build, and then we're going to build from the ground up.
So looking down the road, the sports scene in Saudi is certainly getting a new player. You mentioned earlier boxing, football/soccer. Where do you see professional baseball in fitting into there? 1, 2, 3 down the line? How big of a player do you think Baseball United will be?
Here's the honest truth. I mean, when I met with a lot of folks that are in the Olympic Committee, that are part of the governing bodies of sport in Saudi, honestly, I don't believe baseball was in their top 50 of sports that they were focusing on, which is insane to me. You're talking about top 5 global sport, definitely top 5 from a revenue generation standpoint. And when I first met them, the ecosystem, baseball was not on the radar. Fast forward to what we just announced last week. For us to have this deal done is pretty miraculous, to go from not even in the top 50 to now have an official partnership with the government and the federation, bringing franchises there. So we've already moved a few mountains, in partnership with the Saudi Federation there. And, I haven't seen the official rankings yet, but I know we're moving up past, that bottom outside the 50, that's for sure. I personally believe baseball can be one of the top sports in the country. Soccer, football is always going to be, at the top or near the top in Saudi Arabia. We didn't even talk about, Liam. I actually lived in Saudi Arabia twice at two different times in my life because my parents were in the oil industry. Yeah, connected to Aramco out there, which, so I lived in Dhahran when I was like 2 years old, which is a suburb of Dammam. So we're going to have a baseball franchise there, which is pretty freaking cool, full circle. And I should have told you this. I played in Little League in Saudi Arabia in second and third grade in Jeddah. So it's such a cool thing, it kind of gives me goosebumps full circle now that we're going to be out there, building franchises. But, that aside, I really believe, as someone that was a young kid that lived out there, as well as someone that's seeing what's happening now, that baseball can be a top 3 sport in the kingdom. It has all the elements. There's a huge connection between citizens in Saudi Arabia and Americans in America. The America brand is strong there. This is America's pastime. That's important. Culturally and, from a sporting standpoint, there's such a great fit. And like I said, a lot of the locals, they've gone to school overseas. They understand a bit about baseball. They had a little bit of a connection with it. Now, the more we introduce it, the more we educate. I think there's a ton of opportunities. So I really believe that. Now my job is to go convince the whole country that, the government that, and inshallah, the crown prince that, if I ever had the honor to meet His Highness, the sports minister, all these great leaders that are doing so many amazing things for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and for sport around the world. I can't wait to have those conversations because I really believe baseball can be a top 3 sport.
This certainly is a massive moment for the global baseball community. What ripple effects do you see this partnership having down the road?
Well, dude, you know that we've had a ton of big news with Baseball United, over the last couple of years. We've been blessed to have and share. The Saudi news on social media was definitely a top 3 of social media buzz, excitement. Again, everything that's happening in Saudi Arabia has elevated the profile. People know there's a lot of opportunity out there. So I think it's already had a huge ripple effect in terms of people's interest and excitement. I think there's a lot of eyeballs on Baseball United right now. It's going to grow even more when we announce the names and show the jerseys of the franchises. And like I said, we've got a big decision coming up soon of where are we going to play our tournament this year? We're open. We're taking phone calls. Is it going to be in Dubai? Is it going to be in Riyadh? Could we go to Jeddah? Is there another sleeper country that's going to come out? A city that's going to call us and say, hey, we want you here. We're listening. My DMs are open to see who wants us to play our tournament there this year. And I'm excited because we've got some options.
So earlier we talked about the buzz among the players and coaches with this new Saudi adventure. You mentioned Pablo Sandoval was super excited about it. Anyone else that was crazy, oh my God, this is wild. Can you trade me there?
Dude, I'll get in trouble if I share. But I'll tell you, I mean, there was a few all-stars that are on our roster that were excited about the idea, But what's cool is all the guys love the opportunity to represent any franchise that's across their chest. I know the guys that represent the Wolves and the Falcons are excited now that they can not only have a fan base based in the UAE, but also extend to other parts of the Arabian Peninsula and GCC. They can go around now with Arabia across their chest or Mideast across their chest. So that's going to be cool, and they're excited about it. But, everyone sees it as a huge responsibility too, because, when you're bringing professional baseball to a region for the first time, I tell our players all the time, you guys are astronauts, man. You're frontiersmen, because it's really cool that you have this opportunity to pioneer a professional sport and be the faces of that. Be the first people that these citizens, these people recognize in association with the sport of baseball. And that's a huge opportunity, a huge responsibility, a huge legacy builder for all these guys. and they all take it to heart, and they're all passionate about it. And everybody that's associated with Baseball United is passionate about growing the game. And that's why we work so hard. It's why we do what we do, because that's the mission that we're on.
So, Kash, as this is the first official episode of the official Baseball United podcast, I want to ask, when did the original idea for Baseball United come to your head? Not like when it actually started being constructed. When did the idea come to your head, and how long were you pondering it before you actually started executing something?
Well, I mean, the idea of baseball in the Middle East and South Asia, honestly, it's not a new idea. They've been playing baseball in India 50 years, Pakistan 40 years. As I mentioned, they have national teams in the region. And even before Baseball United, Lark and I and John Miedrich, Mo, we were approached by different entrepreneurs, different business people from the region, from India, from around the world, about bringing baseball out there. What could we do? We took a first crack at it before Baseball United, actually, and we just didn't have the right structure, the right organization, the right leadership. None of us were the drivers of that. We were kind of bystanders. Somebody called me 2.5, 3 years ago saying, "Hey, can you help with the marketing? Can you help with this or that?" And then it ended up being, "Can you be the president of our organization?" And I started learning more about it, but I didn't feel that organization had the right plan, the right structure, the right team, the right pieces in place. So I decided to leave that journey. But I knew that all the work I had put in, studying the region, building partnerships, building brands, and seeing the opportunity there was still powerful. And that's when Lark and I and John and Mariano all came together and said, let's take another crack at this, but let's do it the right way with the right people. Let's structure it in the right way. Let's focus it on growing the game as the pure ethos and the driver of what we do. Yeah, we want to build a successful business, and yeah, there's money to be made, there's opportunities, there's jobs, but let's just do it for the right reasons. And since we've done that, man, we've been off to the races. And I'm blessed to work with folks like Barry Larkin, who's one of my best friends in life. I mean, Lark is an OG of international baseball, as you know. I mean, he coached the Brazilian national team. He's done development work in India, in the Far East, all around the world. And, he's been in my ear for many, 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 many years about growing the game. And when we started because, a few years ago, there was a lot of talk about everything that's wrong with the game. The pace of play, lack of diversity in the game, the aging fan base of Major League Baseball. The average age of a Major League Baseball fan is 57 years old. It's the oldest fan base in all of professional sport. And we were like, how can we make sure this game that we love is around for another 150 years? And what we believed was international. As you started the show off, we believed the future was international. And that's when we started diving into the Middle East, India, etc. That's when we bumped into John Miedrich, who had a similar idea and vision. That's when Mariano Rivera came into the picture, because he's been passionate about growing the game internationally. And we said, you know what if we take a crack in the bat and ball epicenter of the world, Middle East and South Asia, 2 billion people, 1 billion cricket fans, what can we do? But like I always tell you, I know you've heard me say many times, the biggest learning and surprise for us is that there's a ton more baseball fans out in that part of the world than we ever imagined. And while we do want to convert cricket fans into baseball fans, we also have this amazing opportunity to just give a product and create an experience for the current baseball fans that are already out there.
So the 18 legends in the ownership group, I'm sure they approached you, right?
A little bit of both. Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, we had obviously Lark and Mo with us in the beginning. The first big person that we brought on after that was Mr. Beltre, Adrian Beltre, which congratulations to my boy AB again for being one of the newest elected members of the Baseball Hall of Fame. So happy for him and his family. But, AB was the first big outside outside person we brought in, because Mo and Lark are considered co-founders. They're co-founders of Baseball United. But Adrian Beltre was the first person that we brought on from outside our tight circle. And he was a tough one. He was a tough conversation, a tough sell, a tough pitch, probably still the toughest one. Had a great team around him, a lot of diligence, a lot of questions on the finance side, legal side, et cetera, et cetera. But when Adrian came in, then Elvis Andrews came in after that, because, they were shared the infield together for many years. And then after that, Felix Hernandez came on board, who also played with Adrian in Seattle, and they're really close friends. And then from there, so all that kind of was part of those early days. From there, honestly, it started to snowball, where people started calling us. People were hitting me up on Instagram, on social media. People were hitting us up on WhatsApp saying they want to be a part of it. Nick Swisher DM'd me on Instagram saying, dude, I love what you're doing. How can I be a part of this? Ryan Howard, who's also works with Swish and the CAP program, reached out to us. Obviously, we brought on Albert Pujols. The list goes on, from Shane Victorino to Hanley Ramirez to Matt Barnes to all these, Bartolo Colon, Robinson Cano, who's been a huge part of us, Robinson Chirinos, who's a huge part of what we're doing. We just announced Anderson Simmons, Jair Jurgens, Didi Gregorius. Before that, Luis Severino. I mean, you know this better than anybody, but our ownership group is truly the highest pedigree of ownership group in all of professional sports when it relates to what they did on the field and now being in the ownership suite. It's pretty amazing. And we got some more we're going to announce soon, man. We got some good ones that I'm excited about to announce soon. Some really amazing baseball stars that are going to be part of Baseball United at the ownership level. And then, let's see who ends up on the field as well.
Kash, you often talk about working with the right people. And as it relates to this ownership group, how do you determine who's right to come in and who isn't? Because surely you've been approached by far more than the 18 legends you have now, and you definitely have had to turn people down, right?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing for us is character, the values, the principles that people have. And, we respect everyone, but our culture is our culture. Our organizational culture, which I believe is the most important thing, how we go about our business, how we communicate, how we live and breathe as an organization, and all the values that are, a part of that is so critical. So guys have to buy into that, believe in it, share those values, be inspired by that culture and that mindset. And if they do, then it starts to become a great conversation. And then they have to be really passionate about growing the game. They have to really care about it. If guys have called us and just talked about it as a business deal only, we typically don't get too excited. There's a lot of money that we can get from different places, but from this group of our MLB investors, we want them to be able to have a great financial investment that they're going to get returns on in the future. But it's got to be love the game. It's got to be love the game. And that's where we're really blessed that every single one of our MLB investors and co-owners of Baseball United, they have a deep, deep, deep love of the game. They're putting not just their money in, they're putting their time in. They're putting their name, image, and likeness in. They're posting on social media. They're helping us, man. And I'm so grateful to them. And it's such a blessing to be able to work with a group of guys like that.
So as we start to wrap up here, Kash, we're going to introduce a new segment. The first time we ever did do this segment on the first episode, called the Shakedown. This is like a rapid fire session. So reflecting on Baseball United's journey, what do you see as the most pivotal moment that shaped the organization to how it is today?
Oh my God. So many pivotal moments. I don't know if I would pick just one, because each one builds upon the other. I mentioned when AB came on board, that was a pivotal one. The announcement of the first franchise, Mumbai Cobras, was a pivotal one, because people saw how big we were swinging for this one. Our draft and all those great players that became a part of what we're doing was a pivotal one. If I had to choose one of everything, because we put so much work in, the showcase, us being able to prove a proof of concept to literally build a field from scratch, build a fan base from scratch, build a team from scratch, fly people across the world 15,000 miles, have great managers and coaches there, have burgers and beers being sold, in the Middle East while you could watch a baseball game, have a fan fest, have the national anthem being sung. I mean, for us to put that proof of concept together was powerful. And, that milestone, no matter what happens, everybody who's a part of that can know they were part of history. And it's a huge part of our legacy. And now I'm really hoping that helps us build in the future.
Second question, in your leadership role, how do you balance the rapid expansion of Baseball United? Like, you guys just added 3 more franchises. You had 4 last year, almost doubling in size, while maintaining the quality and integrity of the sport.
Well, I think even more so than just the franchises, the hardest thing when you grow is to keep the integrity and the quality of the culture and the product in any industry. When you scale, when you get bigger, when you go from 5 employees to 35 to 335, how do you make sure that the culture and the values and the principles and the way that you operate, the quality of your product stay strong and high? And that's the thing that I'm the most passionate about. I'm a little insane about. You've heard me in certain meetings. I always say I get my hands involved in pretty much everything that we do. It's abnormal at times, and it's a bit of based on my, passion for it, a bit of my skill set with it, but also because I always say I'm not a control freak, but I'm a quality freak, and keeping that quality bar high is one of the things that I believe it's most important for a CEO to do, a leader to do. So I stay involved in everything until I feel like that department, that line of work, that individual, that team has the quality bar down. I'm in it. Once they got it, I'm like, it's your show now, And there's been some great examples of that, of now stuff I stay the hell out of because we've got such great people running it. And that's when you're really building a great organization. To me, culture is the most important part of any organization. We preach it, we live it, and it bleeds out of us in every way possible.
So the integration of technology in sports is ever evolving. We've kind of touched on this earlier. How, if in any way, is Baseball United leveraging technology to enhance either player performance, fan experience, or operational efficiency?
Honestly, I think we got more to do there. We have more to do there. I was looking around. I mean, we have so many things that we're experimenting on, like from little wearables with chips in it to track performance, all these cool things, to how we're broadcasting the game, how we're innovating the live stream. There's so many things that we're looking at. That's one of the things where it feels like an avalanche of opportunities. And it's hard to stay focused when you've got all this stuff like literally like flying at you every day. But, definitely technology and innovation is going to be a point of difference for us. It's where we know as a young startup, lean, new league, we can do some cool things. We already did it with our gameplay innovation with things like the money ball and our designated runner and things like that. But in the future, building out a technology aspect that sets us apart is going to be a huge part of who we are.
So to wrap up, Kash, what's your message to fans around the globe and for what's in store for Baseball United in the near future?
Well, my message to fans around the globe is that we're working our ass off. We're not a big team. We're way smaller than you probably can imagine, of a group that's trying to make history and pull professional baseball from its home here in America over to the Middle East and South Asia and inspire a whole new fan base, build a whole new infrastructure, create a whole new ecosystem, from equipment to fields to rosters to merchandise to everything, government partnerships, sponsorships, broadcast. It's insane, man. What we're doing is insane. And I want people to know that this is what we do 24/7, for better, for worse. We love it, and we're putting our heart and soul into it. We have a lot of years of experience and a lot of people with a lot of great skills that are trying to make it happen. And we've got the backing of some of the best to ever play the game behind us. And with all that, it's still going to be really hard. It's still going to be really hard. And there's no way for me to sit here and say I'm 100% positive that it'll work out, because you just never know in life. Just like in sports, right? You don't know what the outcome will be. You lose by an inch, you lose at the buzzer, you lose by a run in the bottom of the ninth. That's sports. And that's entrepreneurship as well. I've always believed in the parallels between sports and entrepreneurship. And I run our organization like an elite sports team. There's a performance bar, there's a quality bar, there's a greatness demand, but there's also camaraderie, and there's love, and there's passion for the game. So we're taking all that, and we're taking our best crack at it. And I believe that we're going to be able to create something really special, and it's going to continue this year. And God willing, we'll have our season in 2025 and beyond, and then we'll be doing something that no one's ever done before.
Kash, thank you so much for joining the show. Before we let you go, don't forget to download, follow, subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on, so you never miss an episode. That's it, guys, for this week. I'm Liam Skiffington. He's Kash Shaikh, and this has been the Baseball United podcast.